तो वो फिर दुबई इंडिया और दुबई दुबई में होगा इंडिया so that is मेरा शादी आया कैंपस से ही shall I? Ma'am, my question was with respect to this definition given by the World Bank for inclusiveness. They define it in three elements: equity, equality, and protection in market and employment transitions. So the World Bank, the so-called advocate of liberalization and globalization, they say an inclusive growth strategy should protect people in such times. So when you define inclusiveness in the sustainable development context, how do you think it's possible with only local, what do you call, local interventions? Is it a local problem to be solved, or is it more a global problem? Improving inclusiveness.
I think for India, I think there is no problem which is a global problem and a local problem as far as we are concerned in India. Every problem has a India. I think every single thing that the United Nations and the World Bank have there on inclusive development, I think every single one of them have a component that is important for India. Okay, so I think that's the first perspective. So I think in some sense I'll also go so far to say that India is a microcosm of a global reality. Okay, so if you see that from that perspective, then whether it is equity, equality, or protection of employment, every single one of them are relevant conversations. I want to kind of tie this up to the trade conversation, which I think is equally important, which is, as an economy, if you are slated to grow at 6.5 to 7%, okay, there's both an internal economic activity that is going on, and then there is the global economic activity. So any which argument you use for India, even if you use it as a very local argument, I think it is equally relevant. Equally relevant.
I think looking at inclusiveness only as a function of employment opportunities and at the time of economic transitions is limiting the concept. Employment opportunities and taking care of people by way of inclusion at the time of economic transitions is the end result of the process. You know, in India particularly and in the eastern part of the world especially, the inclusiveness or lack of inclusiveness start much earlier. There is, social issues that exclude people from birth. And to say that these people will be given opportunity when they come of age and they are ready to take on economic opportunities is kind of, to my mind, absolutely fallacious. So inclusiveness has to begin way earlier. And unless we look at the starting point and the process which takes us to the end point, which is employment opportunities, you really won't get anywhere in inclusiveness. So I think we need to put it in the form of a cliche, we need a more inclusive understanding or definition of inclusiveness. Correct. To be able to make a dent on it. If you only look at the employment opportunities, which is the end product, we can keep doing that and nothing is going to happen.
I want to kind of respond because, there was this very interesting incident where after one of these talks, there was a woman who walked up to me and she actually said that if you really want to think inclusion in any context, she said, just imagine the most vulnerable. And she defined herself and she said, just imagine a Muslim disabled woman. It can't be more vulnerable than that. So
Well, it can be, but
yeah, I mean, in that, yes. And so anything that you're doing there in terms of access, opportunity, equity, whatever you're doing there, in the long run can only lead to empowerment. And I think again the definition of empowerment is not just economic.
Not at all.
Absolutely. And I think in the trade to equity and inclusion discussion, the economics kind of is the short term, but really a lot of those are what you were calling on your model, medium and long term. And that's the dimension which gets missed completely. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
For internal use? Well, then I want to add something. See, focusing only on the economic aspects of such phenomena is limited or limiting. As there is an Urdu couplet which says, "Hai aur bhi zamane mein gham mohabbat ke siwa." You know, love is not the only problem in life. There are multiple problems. And economics is not the only thing. Certainly it is extremely important, but it is not the only thing. And a lot of things happen before one can either be deprived of the fruit of economic equality or enjoy the fruits of economic equality. A lot of things happen before that which have a very serious impact on this.
Thank you.